This is Miss Brianne, and welcome to another fun, exciting virtual program here at the Westhampton Free Library. And our virtual program is where you can participate and make these amazing crafts and listen to some stories from the comfort of your own home. Sounds like fun, huh? But in any event, I have another fun, exciting craft project for you to do today, and it's based on a particular holiday this month. Can anybody guess what it is? Alright, if you said Halloween, you're absolutely right. So I got a fun little craft for you to do for Halloween, and we're actually just days away from Halloween. So, yeah, we're days away from Halloween at this point, so I want to celebrate it by creating this cute little craft that you can use to help decorate your house with. How fun is that, boys and girls? Alright, so before I tell you what we're going to be doing today, I want you to take a minute or two in order to think about what comes to mind when you think about Halloween. I will give you a couple of minutes for this. Are you ready? Go! Alright, so what do we think about when we think about Halloween? Are you thinking pumpkins? Do you think witches? Do you think costumes? Do you think candy? Do you think about trick-or-treating? Do you think about bats? What about ghosts or witches? What about dark, spooky nights? And if you thought any of those things, boys and girls, you were most likely correct. A lot of different things come to mind when we think about Halloween. And for today, we're going to create a cute little ornament based on the bat, which is one focus of Halloween. However, I am going to show you how to put together that craft later on. But before we move on to the craft, I'm going to read a nice little Halloween book. For those of you who've done programs with me before, Miss Brianne, you always know that I almost always read a book prior to doing the craft. So, are you ready for today's book? Today's book is based on, you guessed it, Halloween. And who's heard of the story The Night Before Christmas? Well, most of you, if not all of you, probably raised your hand. The Night Before Christmas is a popular story. And it's so popular that many people will be able to recite it without even looking at the book. This Halloween version is a take on The Night Before Christmas. And who wants to guess what the title is? Alright, you guessed it. The title of today's story is The Night Before Halloween. Alright, are we ready to begin, boys and girls? Alright, let's get started. So, The Night Before Halloween. The author is Natasha Wing. Now, the author is the person who writes the words to the story. The illustrator is Cynthia Fisher. And the illustrator is the person who draws the pictures in the story. And then we have the publisher, which is that company or organization that puts the book all together and sends it to the bookstores to sell. And the publisher here is Grosset Dunlap Grosset Dunlap, which is a trademark of Grosset and Dunlap Inc. All right, now that that's taken care of, are we ready to begin the story? All right, here we go. 'Twas the night before Halloween, and all through the house, all the creatures were stirring, except for the mouse. The monsters had gathered to plan and prepare for the trick-or-treaters who soon would be there. All right, looks like they're getting the house ready. What do you think the monsters and the creatures are doing, boys and girls? Do you think they're building a haunted house for them? Or do you think they want to scare the trick-or-treaters? What do you think, boys and girls? Shall we continue? Okay, here we go. Mummies unraveled and put on new wraps. Spiders found corners and spun silky traps. Count Dracula grinned and slicked back his hair. Frankenstein's bride cried, "I've nothing to wear." Looks like they're getting ready for something. What do you think it is, boys and girls? Well, let's continue reading and to find out. "Hurry up," said a ghoul who started to yawn. "There's so much to do before bedtime at dawn." So it looks like all the monsters and creatures stay awake at night and go to bed during the day. Unlike us humans who stay awake during the day and go to sleep at night. But let's see what they're doing. So the witches brewed up a magical potion which set every monster and goblin in motion. They blew up balloons and hung streamers and lights and decorated till the wee hours of night. So it looks like they're decorating, like putting balloons up. Are balloons meant to scare anybody? Do you think they want to scare the trick-or-treaters after all? Well, let's see what else happens. Meanwhile, the children were tucked snug in their beds, while visions of candy corn danced in their heads. All right. So many of you are in grades kindergarten through 3rd grade, right? So when you think of that, do you tend to go trick-or-treating? And what's the one thing you think of when you think of Halloween, boys and girls? Yes, you probably think of trick-or-treating or candy, which is what I used to do when I was your age. But let's see what else happens. In the morn when they woke, it was Halloween day. There was bobbing for apples and rides in the hay. Who's had Halloween parties where they have you guys gone on hay rides? Has anybody ever done a haunted hayride? Yeah, they're a lot of fun. And aren't Halloween parties fun as well? You do bobbing for apples, you get to tell spooky stories, you could maybe even carve some jack-o'-lanterns or decorate pumpkins. Maybe you even guess who has the best costume. But aren't Halloween parties and hay rides fun? Well, let's see what happens. There were costume parties and games to be played, cupcakes and candy, and of course, a parade. Oh, I forgot about the Halloween parade, boys and girls. Do any of you do Halloween parades at school? Yeah, when I was your age, my school used to do the Halloween parades. They were a lot of fun. The walk was a little tiring, but it was still a lot of fun. All the people and your parents got to see the costumes you wore. It was great. But is there anything else that you do to celebrate Halloween? Should we read to find out? All right. After dinner was served and the kids were done eating, it was finally time to go trick-or-treating. That used to be one of my favorite parts of Halloween. Now my favorite part of Halloween, boys and girls, is wearing a costume. Moms repainted faces and straightened clown hats, put wings back on fairies, angels, and bats. Jack-o'-lanterns were set out on porches with care. Their grins seemed to say, "Knock if you dare." Gypsies and pirates and zombies in rags grabbed their bright flashlights and trick-or-treat bags. All right, looks like the kids are all going out trick-or-treating. What do you think is going to happen? Will they get to the monster's house? And what will happen at the monster's house? What do you think, boys and girls? Well, let's see what happens. They walked down each lane, avenue, and street, rang every doorbell, and said, "Trick or treat!" So they're going from house to house to get the candy. Let's see if they get to the monster's house now. But just when the children thought they were done, the princess said, "We've forgotten just one." All right, looks like they're heading towards the monster's house. What do you think's going to happen, boys and girls? Well, why don't we see what happens when they go to the monster's house? So they walked to the house at the top of the hill, which gave all the kids a spine-tingling thrill. They stood on the porch and were ready to knock when they heard heavy footsteps and a turn of the lock. Uh-oh, here it comes. Do you want to see what happens, boys and girls? Well, let's see. When what to their curious eyes should loom but a wicked old witch holding a broom. Her cape, how it shimmered, her face, oh, how scary. Her hat was so pointy, it frightened the fairy. Uh-oh, what do you think the witch is going to do, boys and girls? What do you think? Well, let's see what happens. The Wicked Witch said, "Welcome! We have a surprise!" And the children yelled, "Run! It's not a disguise!" So all the children are scared. Do you think they're going to run away, boys and girls? Well, let's see. The monsters were sad when the kids ran away. They wanted the children to come in and play. So it looked like the monsters wanted to have a party for the trick-or-treaters. But the trick-or-treaters were too scared, so they all ran away. They made them a little sad. The Wicked Witch said, "We can have our own fun. Come on, little monsters, the night's just begun." So it looks like the monsters are going to have to party anyway, with or without the trick-or-treaters. The monsters all cheered as they danced with delight. "Happy Halloween to all, and to all a fright night." And that is the end of the story. Now, take a minute to think about this, boys and girls. If you were one of the trick-or-treaters in the book, what would you have done when you went to the monster house? Would you have run away as well? Or would you have went inside? Well, to tell you the truth, boys and girls, if I was one of the kids in the book, I would have ran away. Which is always a good rule. And that's one of the good rules, is never go inside the house of a stranger. So always remember that rule, boys and girls. But this was a great book. And just take a minute to think about what was your favorite part of the story and what was maybe your not so favorite part. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed the story. I certainly enjoyed reading it to you. And usually trick-or-treat is one of the best parts of Halloween. But there's definitely things like Halloween festivals and safe Halloween events, usually held in a mall or in one of the school districts, that allows you to have people look at your costumes and get all the candy you want in one spot. Which is usually easier if it's all in one spot instead of walking block to block. And sometimes these Halloween festivals are good in case it's so rainy on Halloween that there's no trick-or-treating. And to tell you, I'm not yet sure if there'll be much trick-or-treating this year due to certain events. So sometimes these Halloween festivals are good. But in any event, always be safe, boys and girls, and enjoy your Halloween, no matter what you do. But in any event, this was a great story. I hope you enjoyed it. But what do you say? Is it time to move on to our craft activity that you can decorate your house with? All right, let's move on. And I'm going to zoom this camera in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. There we go. So, today's craft is called the Halloween bat ornament. And you can use these to hang up on your house to decorate your house with. How cool is that, boys and girls? And it's just made with some household items that you most likely have at home. Now, before I begin, I just want to tell you, this idea was from the website Juggling with Kids. Who got it off the website Happy Clippings? Unfortunately, the Happy Clippings page for this craft activity no longer exists. But it's still on the website Juggling with Kids. So if you're interested in this, as well as other similar craft activities, please click on the web link in the video description. But in any event, with that being said, are we ready to begin? Alright, so I'm going to go over step by step on how to put this craft together. And a parent may need to help you with one important step, which I will talk about in a little while. But when you're done, you should have something that looks like this. What do you think, boys and girls? Would that be cool to hang up on your house with? This little bat flying? Cool, huh? So, do you want to see how this is made? Alright then, well let's get started. Now, when you register for this program, you have, and if you were able to do so, you should have received a craft kit with the following materials in it. You should have received 3 8-carton cups, cut out and still attached. A small piece of orange ribbon. Some black tempera paint. And 2 googly eyes. Now, in addition to those materials that you have in your craft kit, you should also have the following materials with you. You should have a paintbrush, glue, a pair of scissors, some paper to cover your workstation with, and a hot glue gun. Now here's a warning for the hot glue gun. Boys and girls, do not touch the hot glue gun when it's plugged in, and even when it's not plugged in, because the glue gun can be extremely hot, and if it's plugged in, it will definitely be extremely hot, and we don't want anybody to get burned. So when it comes to the hot glue gun step and to handling the hot glue gun, always ask your mom or your dad or any adult that you're with who's watching you do this craft, have them handle the hot glue gun. And parents and adults, make sure you're using the hot glue gun when it's necessary. Alright, with that being said, are we ready to begin? Alright. So, you're going to have paper or plastic covering your workspace. I'm going to use a paper plate. So, the first thing you're going to do is get your 8-carton cups. Do not separate these. They're together for a reason. And what you're going to do, you're going to have the flat side facing towards you. What you're going to do is you're going to take your pair of scissors, and on the first cup, you're going to cut 1 small triangle on one side, on one of the side cups, and you're going to cut a small triangle on one side, then a small triangle on the other side, like so. So we got our triangles. I'll give you a minute to do that. Oh, and boys and girls, if you need more time to complete a step, you can always pause in between steps because this is a pre-recorded video and it'll give yourself the time you need to catch up. But with that being said, let's move on to the next step. So you cut 2 triangles on one of the side cups. Now you're going to go to the other side cup and you're going to cut a small triangle on one side and a small triangle on the other side. So when you're done with that, it kind of looks like bat wings. You're not going to cut any triangles in the center cup. So I'll give you a minute to catch up. Okay, so are you ready for the next step? So when it's done, it kind of, the two side cups kind of look like bat wings. How cool is that? Well, now that you have the bat wings cut out, it's now time to paint all the egg carton cups. So you're going to take your paint and your paintbrush, and you're going to dip your paintbrush in the paint, and then you're going to start painting the top and the sides of these three cups. You don't have to worry about painting the inside, boys and girls. And you're just going to slowly paint this. You're just going to paint the whole outside, front and back of the cups. So you can start that now, boys and girls. And this is going to be the longest part of the craft, the painting. Because not only do you have to paint the whole outside, front and back, you also have to wait for the paint to dry before moving on to the next step. But once you finish painting all this, the final two steps are the simplest, which I will show you in a little bit. But you're doing a good job, boys and girls, so just keep painting. And tempera paint is the best for this project because it washes off with water. I mean, you could possibly use acrylic paint for this if you have it, but to tell you the truth, I wouldn't recommend it because that doesn't wash off as easily. So I strongly recommend using black tempera paint or washable paint. And you just keep painting, boys and girls. You are doing a good job. And just keep going, boys and girls. Oops. Should be holding it down the ground on the plate for you. I'm sorry. And just make sure all the outside of the egg carton cups are covered with black paint. You're doing good, boys and girls. Almost there. All right, I think we got it. So, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to finish your painting. All right, boys and girls, good job. Now, before you move on to the next step, you have to make sure that the paint on the egg cartons is completely dry. So you can't do anything until the paint is dried. Now, since this will take a while for the paint to dry and for time purposes, I had already painted another set of egg carton cups so I could show you the next step. But like I said, you have to wait for the paint to dry in order to move on to the next step. So what you could do is you could pause the video, you could do whatever other activity you want to do, and then periodically check on your paint, check on your egg carton cups, and just see when they're completely dry. And when they're completely dry, you can always resume the video for the next step. And that's the beauty of having a pre-recorded YouTube video. You can pause the video anytime you either need a break or you have to do something else and you want to come back to it, or for steps like this when you need a bit for the paint to dry. But what do you say, boys and girls? Should we move on to the next step? All right, here we go. So, for the next step, you're going to take your two googly eyes, you're going to take your glue, place some glue on the back of the googly eye, and place them on each side of the front of the center cup. So yeah, I got one eye. Now I know some of these googly eyes have sticker like that in the back. You could just stick them on. What I've been finding is this sticky part is not very strong, so it tends to come off after a while. But there you go. So you got to glue the two eyes to the front of the center cup. So I'll give you a minute to finish that. Now, just as a side note, if I was doing this program in person, what I would have done is I would have had you cut out the bat wings and paint it first. Then we would have read the story, and the paint would have dried by the time I finished the story. But because it's a pre-recorded video, I did the story first. But anyway, are we ready for the last step? Now, for the last step, this is for the parent or the adult who's watching you to do. Do not do this step by yourself, boys and girls. as the hot glue gun is being used. So remember, this is an adult-only step. So what you're going to do, parents or adult guardians, take your ribbon and you're going to put some hot glue on the top of the center cup and glue each end to the ribbon on top of the cup. Give me 1 minute, I am going to do this off camera because the glue gun can't reach far enough here with the outlet. So give me 1 minute. And here is the Halloween bat ornament. Now, boys and girls, do not touch the ornament once the ribbon is glued on, as you can accidentally touch the hot glue. And before you use the ornament to decorate your house, wait about an hour or two in order for the glue to dry. And have your mom or dad or whoever adult is nearby test it to see if it's dry before you use the ornament to decorate. But once that hot glue is dried, feel free to use it to decorate your house for Halloween. And it's cute and spooky at the same time. Well, in any event, I hope you enjoy making this little craft. Thank you so much for joining me today. And please, check out the other programs that either virtually or in person, that myself and the other children's librarians here have to offer at the Westhampton Free Library. But in any event, I hope you enjoyed this program today. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one. But until then, this is Miss Brianne saying take good care of yourselves, have a great day, and I'll see you soon.